Good morning, and welcome to the final week of Leading with Light for 2025. It has been a trying but rewarding year for many, and most of us have learned crucial life lessons that brought transformation and growth. Today, we're diving into a powerful topic. Before you reset, why leaders need a word, not a resolution. We'll be reflecting on what was left undone, reclaiming meaning, and entering the new year aligned, not anxious. My first question for my fellow executive leaders and strategic achievers is this. Have you ever reached the end of the year realizing you worked hard, yet you still feel unfinished? As leaders, we're trained to close loops, hit targets, and check boxes. But December has a way of confronting us with what didn't get done, not because we were lazy, not because we lacked faith, but because some seasons are about formation, not just completion. Before we all rush into making New Year's resolutions, I want to invite you into something quieter and more powerful. Scripture reminds us in Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. This isn't about regret, it's about finding meaning. So let's talk about why some things didn't get done. Why do capable, faithful, disciplined leaders still end the year with a list of unfinished goals? I see 3 reasons consistently in executive and educational leadership. First, misaligned assignments. Some goals looked strategic, but they weren't actually yours to carry. Jesus modeled this so clearly when he said in John 5:19, I only do what I see my Father doing. Second, seasonal blindness. You might have been trying to produce something in a season that was meant for pruning, healing, or transition. And third, silent emotional fatigue. I'm not talking about burnout. I mean the deep fatigue of carrying immense responsibility without being replenished. So here are some reflection questions for you. What goal did you push that really required more grace than grind? What resolution did you make at the beginning of 2025 that had you hustling instead of truly making an impact? C. Resolutions are often ineffective for leaders. A single word for the year is so much more effective. Let's explore why resolutions fail leaders. Why do they often exhaust us instead of energizing us? Resolutions are typically behavior-focused, but leadership transformation is identity-driven. As Paul writes in Romans 12:2, we should be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Resolutions say, do more. A guiding word says, become aligned. Let me give you some examples I see with leaders I coach. Your resolution might be, I'll manage my time better. But what if your word was stewardship? Or maybe your resolution is, I'll lead with more confidence. What if your word was boldness? Instead of saying, I'll find balance, what if your word was alignment? It changes everything. Here's a question for you. What if your frustration this year wasn't a sign of failure, but was actually feedback? Let's talk about the power of choosing a word. Why does a single word anchor your leadership better than a long list of resolutions or goals? The reality is, a word becomes a filter. It shapes your decisions. It guards your emotional and mental health. The Bible gives us a beautiful example in Psalm 119-105. The word of the Lord is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. One of the executive leaders I coached this year chose the word margin. It completely changed how she scheduled her days, delegated tasks, and prioritized rest. Another educational leader chose the word courage. It reshaped the difficult conversations he had been avoiding for months. Think about this for a moment and maybe even write down your answer. What drained you most this year? What strengthened you unexpectedly? And what did God keep bringing back to your attention over and over again? Your word for the year often lies in the answers to those questions. I want to encourage you to enter the new year with peace, not pressure. Ask yourself, what if rest, not hustle, is the real doorway into your next level of leadership? Jesus' invitation still stands today from Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This is not passive leadership. This is anchored leadership. So before Christmas, I challenge you to do three things. 1. Stop explaining your unfinished goals with shame. 2. Stop carrying assignments God never authorized you to take on. And 3. Start asking better questions, not just setting louder goals. Here's my leadership challenge for you. What one word would bring you clarity instead of just a feeling of control in the year ahead? As we close this final live session of the year, I want to invite you into something truly meaningful. My book, My Faith Looks Up, was written for leaders just like you who are navigating unfinished seasons, silent fatigue, and a faith that needs refocusing, not fixing. By gifting or purchasing a copy by December 30th, you're doing two powerful things. First, you're investing in your own faith-aligned leadership reset. And second, you're supporting the recovery of a Jamaican farmer who was impacted by Hurricane Melissa. This is leadership that looks up and reaches back. My final question for you is this. What if the word you choose this year becomes the very legacy you lead for next year? Thank you all so much for joining me and for your incredible support for all 45 Tuesdays in 2025. Thank you for walking this year with me. May your leadership rest, reflect, and rise, anchored in faith. Remember, you are not just a leader. You are a vessel carrying a divine assignment. God doesn't want you to lead from empty. He wants you to lead from overflow. Have a blessed Self-Care Tuesday and a very Merry Christmas when it comes.